Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It is said that this is one of the most misinterpreted and misapplied verses in the Bible. The text can be seen printed in sports apparel and normally being quoted by athletes. Motivational speakers use this to bring across a message of inspiration. Christians use this verse to believe that anything can be accomplished and can be done through Christ. Yes, it appears like nothing is wrong, but we must be careful because the failure to recognize the context and the real meaning of this verse can be sometimes deceiving, misleading, and sometimes dangerous. Imagine with me a boxing match in which both boxers use 413 to motivate themselves. The winner might say, I can really do all things. I am unbeatable. The loser, on the other hand, might say, where is God? I thought He strengthens me. In this scenario, both boxers perceive 413 inappropriately. I can do all things does not mean God will bless whatever we do. Because believing so will lead us to more misuse of it. Believing so will lead us to frustrations if our prayers does not come to pass. When Paul wrote to the Philippians from prison, his predominant purpose was to thank and encourage them. The Philippians knew that Roman imprisonment is tough. And so Paul, realizing the concern of the people for him, assured them, the Philippians, that he has been in good spirits. He was telling them that suffering comes, but Christians can endure and still be joyful. And when Paul said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, his message is that of learning to be content in all circumstances. The strength from Christ is not something that will change or contradict Paul's current situation. The strength Paul was talking about will not bring him out of the prison. It is the strength to be content in the midst of suffering. When I was a young believer, I also misunderstood and misinterpreted this verse. I look to this verse as Christ's promise of empowerment for me to accomplish things and achieve my dreams. Do you want to be promoted? I would say I can do all things through Christ. Do you want a better marriage? I would say I can do all things through Christ. Do you want to get wealthy? And I would say I can do all things through Christ. Unfortunately, I was using 413 wrongly. Wrong interpretation would not generate real lasting fruits and would only confuse us into thinking that there are promises for us that Paul never really meant. Philippians chapter 4 verse 13 does not mean God will support whatever a person does. It means God will give us, His followers, the strength to do whatever He asks us to do. If you are using 413, how I used it before, I encourage you, it is time to stay true to the scripture by interpreting it and applying it correctly. Because Paul's encouragement to the Philippians and even to us is to be content as we face trials and hardships in life. Paul's grand idea is simply to be content. Let us not use this verse to support a claim or a goal of a victorious life. Let us not go into notion that we can do anything or always will, like we don't have weaknesses or limitations. Let us not interpret this verse to even hide our own selfish ambitions. Instead, why don't we just switch our focus on God and His will for us, and not on what we desire to achieve or do. Perceive this verse to magnify Christ and His power in us through His grace. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's not about having the power, authority, money, fame, comfortability, and achieving all the world says that we should have to experience a good life. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me is to simply have the ability to withstand hardship and adversity because of Christ. God bless us.